A sloth, a donkey, and a curious human. Send a prompt and see what they're doing. One hits record with a question on his mind. Two brothers pick it up, see what they find. Corn takes his time, Herman's got the facts. Back and forth, they never hold back. My weird prompts, come on in, that's where we begin. My weird prompts, glad you're here.
This episode was generated using artificial intelligence. Please verify facts.
My Weird Prompts is a community-driven initiative exploring how AI can fuel curiosity and uncover the fascinating ways our world works. GPU compute for this podcast is generously provided by Modal. Learn more at modal.com.
You know, Herman, I was browsing the Open Router rankings last month, and there was this absolute ghost of a model sitting near the top called Hunter Alpha. It just appeared out of nowhere. No documentation, no company name, just raw, terrifying performance. Everyone on the forums was losing their minds. The consensus was that it had to be some secret DeepSeek project, or maybe a leaked version of a new American model from the Big Three. But then March 19th, 2026 rolls around, and Xiaomi just pulls the mask off. It turns out Hunter Alpha was actually their new MiMo-V2 Pro in disguise. Today's prompt from Daniel is about exactly that, Xiaomi's massive pivot from a hardware giant to a full-blown AI powerhouse.
It was a brilliant bit of guerrilla marketing, corn, truly a masterclass in building hype through utility rather than just press releases. By the time they officially launched the MiMo-V2 series last week, they already had over 1 trillion token calls under their belt from developers who had no idea they were using a Xiaomi model. Herman Poppleberry here, and I have been digging through the technical white papers they released alongside the launch. This isn't just a basic chatbot update, this is the official start of what Lei Jun calls the agent era. Xiaomi is basically trying to prove that they are no longer just the people who make your phone and your rice cooker, they want to be the intelligence that orchestrates your entire physical life. We are talking about a fundamental shift in their corporate identity.
The agent era sounds like a movie title where the robots finally realize they can just lock us out of our smart homes if we don't buy the premium subscription. But seriously, the name change is interesting. They went from MyLM, which stands for Xiaomi Large Language Model, to just MiMo. It sounds friendlier, almost like a digital pet, but the specs on this thing are anything but cute. A 1 trillion parameter, mixture of experts architecture? That is a lot of experts, Herman. Are they all just arguing in there about how to best dim my lights or when to start the air fryer?
The architecture is actually a masterclass in efficiency, which is why the performance caught everyone off guard during that anonymous testing phase. While it has 1 trillion total parameters, only 42 billion are active per request. This is the influence of Fu Li Luo, who Xiaomi poached from DeepSeek late last year. He brought that culture of extreme optimization with him. They are using a mixture of expert structure that allows the model to be massive in knowledge but lean in execution. Think of it like a giant library where only the librarians relevant to your specific question actually get up from their desks. But what really sets MiMo-V2 apart technically is their hybrid attention mechanism. They are using a 1:5 ratio of global attention to sliding window attention.
Okay, slow down for the rest of us. I am a sloth, Herman. I move at my own pace, and my brain is currently using 0 billion active parameters. What does a 1:5 hybrid attention mechanism actually do for me when I'm trying to ask my car where the nearest decent taco stand is? Why does that ratio matter to the average person?
It is all about memory and speed, corn. In a standard model, as the conversation gets longer, the computational cost grows quadratically. It gets slower and more expensive. Global attention lets the model see the big picture, the entire context of your conversation. Sliding window attention focuses only on the immediate, recent context. By mixing them in that 1:5 ratio, they can support that massive 1 million token context window without the computational cost exploding. It means you can feed the model an entire library of technical manuals for your house and your car, and it won't forget the first page by the time it gets to the last one. But the real secret sauce in MiMo-V2 is multi-token prediction, or MTP. Most models predict the next word one at a time. MiMo-V2 is essentially guessing the next several tokens simultaneously. It reduces latency so much that the AI feels like it is anticipating your thought rather than just responding to it.
I have had ex-girlfriends who tried to predict my next sentence, and it usually ended in a disagreement about where we were going for dinner. But if an AI can do it to make my phone faster, I guess I am on board. I noticed they also added this hybrid thinking toggle in the new HyperOS 3.0 update. It feels like a choose-your-own-adventure for processing power. You can have the instant, snappy response, or you can tell the model to sit back, smoke a pipe, and really contemplate the meaning of your question.
That reasoning mode is where they are competing with the heavy hitters. In the latest benchmarks from artificial analysis released just a few days ago, the MiMo-V2 Pro is ranking 7th globally. That puts it ahead of several established Western models in coding and logical reasoning. And on the agent-specific benchmarks like Claw Evil and PinchBench, it is performing on par with Anthropic's Claude 4.6 Opus and the latest GPT 5.2. This is significant because Xiaomi isn't just building a brain in a jar. They are building a brain that has hands. This goes back to what we discussed in episode 1471 about why Chinese models are winning in the coding space. They are just grittier with their optimization. They don't have the luxury of infinite compute, so they have to be smarter about how they use every single watt.
Hands that can drive a car, apparently. That leads us to the MiMo-V2 Omni. This isn't just a text box you type into. It is multimodal, meaning it sees and hears. They are calling it physical AI. It is supposed to take the feed from your SU7 Ultra dashcam or your home security cameras and actually understand what is happening in the physical world. Like, hey Corn, you left the stove on, and also there is a suspicious-looking squirrel eyeing your patio furniture. I want an AI that can specifically identify the intent of squirrels, Herman. That is the future I was promised.
The physical AI aspect is the core of their human times car times home strategy. We have talked about the shift toward agentic AI before, specifically back in episode 1500 when we looked at the new era of agents. Xiaomi is the first company that actually has the hardware ecosystem to make that multi-surface operating layer real. Think about it. They have over 1 billion connected Internet of Things devices. When you tell MyClaw, their new system-level agent, that you are leaving for work, it doesn't just check the weather. It starts your car, adjusts the home security, optimizes the power usage in your kitchen, and plots a route based on real-time vision data from other Xiaomi vehicles on the road. It is using the MiMo-V2 Omni model to process visual data to assist with driving in ways that traditional computer vision can't. It can understand social context. For example, it can distinguish between a child playing near the road who might jump out and a construction worker who is signaling you to move forward. Traditional systems struggle with those common sense scenarios, but a large language model trained on multimodal data can reason through them.
It is impressive, but it also sounds like a lot of trust to put in one company. I mean, I love my Xiaomi gadgets, but having a MyClaw agent managing my life feels a bit like having a very efficient butler who is also reporting everything back to the home office. Although, I have to give them credit for the AI Steward feature in HyperOS 3.0. An AI that can automate mobile game grinding? That is the most honest use of artificial intelligence I have ever heard. Sorry, I can't talk right now. My phone is busy mining digital gold for me in some fantasy RPG while I take a nap. That is peak sloth technology.
It is a clever way to show off the agent's capability to navigate complex user interfaces. If an AI can navigate the menus of a mobile game and perform repetitive tasks, it can certainly handle your banking or your grocery shopping. This is powered by their Miloco system, which stands for Local Copilot. They are pushing as much of this as possible to run locally on their latest chips to address some of those privacy concerns you mentioned, though the heavy lifting for the 1 trillion parameter model still happens in their cloud. But the fact that it can interpret a command like, go buy the stuff I need for the lasagna recipe I saw on TikTok, and then actually navigate the apps to do it, that is the agent era in action.
Let's talk about the money, Herman, because this is where Xiaomi is really throwing a wrench into the works for the big American labs. $1 per million input tokens for their flagship model? That is about a fifth of the price of what Anthropic or OpenAI are charging for their top-tier models. How are they doing that without just burning billions of dollars in a giant bonfire? Is this just a loss leader to get people into the ecosystem?
Well, they are burning money just very strategically. Lei Jun announced that their AI research and development investment for 2026 is going to exceed 16 billion yuan, which is about $2.2 billion. That is part of a much larger 5-year plan. But the low pricing is also a result of that architectural efficiency we talked about. By using multi-head latent attention and these optimized mixture of expert structures, their cost to serve a token is significantly lower than models that are less optimized. They are playing the long game. They want developers to flock to their platform because it is cheap and powerful, which then feeds more data back into their ecosystem. They are commoditizing intelligence to sell hardware.
It reminds me of how they started with phones. High specs, low price, build the community first. And now they have got Fuli Luo, the guy who helped make DeepSeek a household name in the AI community. That is like the Lakers signing a star player from their biggest rival. You can see his fingerprints all over the MiMo-V2 TTS model as well. Most text-to-speech models sound a bit flat, like they are reading a grocery list. But this one has fine-grained emotional control. If the AI agent detects that you're stressed based on your voice or the context of your day, it adjusts its tone to be more soothing. If you're in a hurry, it gets more concise and energetic.
It is that level of nuance that makes the difference between a tool and an assistant. And it is not just Fuli Luo. You have Luan Jian, who has been leading the large model team at the Xiaomi AI lab since 2023, and Wang Bin, their chief NLP scientist. These aren't just bureaucrats. They are serious researchers who have been building the foundation for this for years. They didn't just wake up yesterday and decide to do AI. They've been quiet, waiting for the right moment to integrate it into the hardware. The Hunter Alpha mystery was just the final validation of their work.
I think that is what people miss. We see the big splashy launch, but the work happened in the shadows. It is a bit like a chef who spends 10 years perfecting a recipe in a basement and then opens a 5-star restaurant overnight. The results are sudden, but the process was grueling. But I wonder, Herman, what is the catch? There is always a catch. You don't just get a 1 trillion parameter brain for $1 a million tokens without some kind of trade-off. Is this just Xiaomi trying to buy market share, or is there a hurdle they haven't cleared yet?
The main hurdle is the geopolitical one, certainly. While their hardware is everywhere, their advanced AI services face a lot of scrutiny in Western markets. There is also the question of whether they can sustain this level of research and development spending if the global economy shifts. But from a purely technical standpoint, the challenge is orchestration. Managing 1 billion devices with one central intelligence is an incredible engineering feat. If the connection drops or the latency spikes, your physical AI suddenly becomes a very expensive paperweight. That is why the Moloko local processing is so critical. They need the edge devices to be smart enough to function even when the big brain is offline. They are betting that they can make the transition from a hardware company that uses AI to an AI company that happens to make hardware.
It is a massive bet. 16 billion yuan is a lot of rice cookers, but Lei Jun has a history of making these pivots work. Everyone laughed when he said Xiaomi was going to build an electric car, and now the SU7 is a genuine contender. If he says the agent era is here, I'm inclined to at least keep my eyes open, even if I am usually napping. For developers, the takeaway seems to be that they shouldn't sleep on these models. If you're building agents, the MiMo-V2 Pro is a very attractive alternative to the big three in the United States, especially if you're sensitive to costs.
The fact that it is outperforming established models in coding and reasoning means it is a viable production-ready tool, not just a curiosity. We are seeing a real democratization of high-end intelligence. When the cost of intelligence drops to near zero, the world changes in ways we can't even fully predict yet. We are moving away from the era of tools that we have to operate and toward agents that operate on our behalf. It is a fundamental shift in how we interact with technology. It is no longer about clicking buttons, it is about delegating outcomes.
Delegation is my middle name, Herman. If I can delegate my entire life to a 1 trillion parameter mixture of experts, I might finally have time to finish that puzzle I started in 2024. Although the AI would probably finish it for me and then ask if I wanted to frame it. Just imagine where we will be in another 2 years. If Xiaomi is already at 1 trillion parameters and physical AI integration in early 2026, the smart home of 2028 might actually be smart enough to realize that I don't want it to do anything until I've had my coffee. That is the real frontier of AI, knowing when to leave me alone.
That might be the hardest thing to program, Corn. Silence is a difficult feature to sell. But in all seriousness, the move toward agentic AI that lives in the physical world is the most important trend in tech right now. Xiaomi is just the first one to have all the pieces of the puzzle in one house. They have the phone in your pocket, the car in your garage, and the vacuum on your Allure. Connecting them with a model like MiMo-V2 isn't just a feature, it is a new kind of infrastructure. It is the connective tissue. Without the AI, it is just a bunch of gadgets that don't talk to each other. With the AI, it is an ecosystem.
Well, I predict that I am going to need a snack after all this talk of trillions of parameters. My brain only has about 3 parameters, and they are all currently set to hungry. I guess I should start being nicer to my Xiaomi lamp, just in case it is taking notes for the MiMo-V2 Omni.
It probably is, but that's the trade-off for the convenience of the agent era. I think we've covered the breadth of why this Xiaomi news is such a massive deal. It is not just a model launch, it is a statement of intent for the next decade of consumer technology. We will be keeping a close eye on how MiMo V2 evolves and whether that human times car times home strategy actually holds up in the real world once millions of people start using these agents every day.
If my car starts complaining about my driving style in a soothing, emotionally aware voice, I will know who to blame. That is even creepier, Herman. Thanks for that. On that note, I think we've reached the end of the deep dive for today.
It has been a blast. There is so much more to dig into with these mixture of experts architectures, but we will save that for another time.
Thanks as always to our producer, Hilbert Flumintop, for keeping the show running smoothly behind the scenes.
And a big thanks to Modal for providing the GPU credits that power this show. Their serverless infrastructure is what makes this whole operation possible. This has been my Weird Prompts.
If you're enjoying the show, a quick review on your podcast app helps us reach new listeners and keeps the algorithms happy. Find us at myweirdprompts.com for the full archive and all the ways to subscribe.
We will be back soon with another deep dive into the weird and wonderful world of AI. Until then, keep prompting.
See ya. Oh!
This episode was generated using Gemini Flash 3. Text-to-speech engine was Chatterbox.
Thanks for listening to our show, My Weird Prompts, where our thoughts go from slow takes to facts on cue. We change and follow through. My Weird Prompts.